I think every setback is a new opportunity.
I like to think that I use failure as a way forward. It's critically important in every job. I think about one time very early on when I was doing a story that I felt like I had cold, and it was a big story, and it was a good story, and it was a juicy story, and I was ready to report it, so I called a public official to say, here's what I've learned, can I get your reaction? And he said, first of all, you're wrong, and second of all, if you air this story, I will call you out on it and say that you're wrong. And I didn't run the story. I was young, I was impressionable, and frankly, I was a little intimidated by a man in power.
I was working at a local station, and I was interning, and they sent me out on this big story. It was back when the steroid scandal was happening in baseball. And I was in the Orioles locker room, and I'm in this media scrum with like all of these famous sports reporters. And they're all shouting questions, and they're all yelling, and I kind of stood there holding the microphone. Before I knew it, the moment was over. And the player was gone and the media dispersed. And I remember walking back to the car and just thinking, that was not a good moment for me. And I was sort of really disappointed in myself and realized that, listen, you can't be intimidated by people. It was a good moment for me to have early on in my career because it was a real learning experience.
I remember Thanksgiving 1988. I was the White House correspondent, and I thought I was going to be promoted and stay at the White House and cover the new president, who was George Herbert Walker Bush. And I was in Kennebunkport covering the new president-elect, and I found out completely by accident that I was not going to get that White House job. I'd covered the Reagan White House, I was in the succession, and instead I was being moved to Capitol Hill to cover Congress. And I thought it was the worst thing that could possibly happen to me. And in fact, it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
In 2008, 2009, at the height of the collapse, I was working at WPIX in New York City. I was freelancing, and the guy who brought me in, my godfather of sorts, went to another station. Suddenly I wasn't working very much. I was on the air once a week maybe, and I was staring down the barrel of, oh my gosh, my career has just started and now it's ending, what do I do? And at the time, the Weather Channel came along and said, do you want to be a one-man band, maybe on-air reporter chasing tornadoes? And it was just a 6-week gig. And I thought to myself, well, I'm not really getting much done here in New York, and this could be a step backwards, but why not go and make that leap and try it? And it was easily the best thing I've ever done, the most fun, crazy, exciting. I saw a tornado. I'm from Los Angeles. We barely see rain there, but I saw a tornado. And it opened the door to WNBC in New York, which opened the door to NBC News, and now I'm here where I'm standing.